I Care a Lot is a movie that I really don't care about. Get it? Movie reviews. So this is another classic review that's 2 weeks late, but I did watch it opening weekend. I just haven't had time to get my thoughts out just yet, so here we go. I Care a Lot is a film directed by J Blakeson. I don't know who this is. I don't think his film career is relevant at all until this movie. This is what the plot on IMDb says. A crooked legal guardian who drains the savings of her elderly wards meet her match when a woman she tries to swindle turns out to be more than she first appears. So this movie is getting a lot of polarizing opinions, and I don't just mean that some people like it, some people dislike it. But either people think this is the worst movie ever, or that Rosamund Pike deserves the Oscar for her role. And personally, I love when opinions have to be either one way this way or one way the other, and there's no middle ground. So this film is just so much fun to talk about. But actually, no, my thoughts are pretty mutual. I think I lean more towards the camp of, didn't like this movie and thought it was pretty bad, but I totally understand why people like this, and it appeals to them. Rosamund Pike gives what I consider a really great performance. Not her best performance, and not the best performance of the year. It won a Golden Globe, though, and I find that interesting. I think that was kind of an upset, and I don't think she really has a chance for the Oscar, but I will admit her role is compelling. She's fun to watch. I think she does a lot of great things within this movie. My favorite performance in this movie, however, is Peter Dinklage. I think he is just incredible and electric in every single performance he gives, whether it's television or film, and this movie is no exception to that. They play enemies in this movie, and when I say they are enemies to each other, I say that because there are no good guys. This movie is just about bad people doing bad things and battling it out with other bad people. To get back to the plot of this, Rosamund Pike plays this character who, is just swindling the elderly, trying to drain their savings, use them. She becomes their guardian and then just takes everything they have, which is the worst thing you could do. I mean, there's not many worse crimes I think you could commit than to take advantage of such a vulnerable community. So yes, she is pure evil, and then Peter Dinklage comes in and he's even more evil. He's tied to the Russian mob, and they kind of brush over this fact that he's into human trafficking, but it's such a small part of the movie that never comes back into play, and it's wait a minute, are we going to get back to that? Nope, I guess not. Okay, you just wanted that as just a little intro to what he's doing, whatever. And I think that's where my main issue with this movie comes from, is that there's really nothing to root for in this. And I'm not saying every movie has to have that. And I've seen a lot of pushback to the criticism of this movie with people saying well, not every single film has a good protagonist. What about the anti-hero? A protagonist doesn't mean a good guy, it just means a character you're supposed to follow through the story. And I get that, I understand that. And I'm not saying we need a good moral figure to follow in this movie, although that would be nice. But what I'm saying is that these people are so evil, and I don't think this movie does a good job painting them as that. This movie almost makes you want to root for one of them or both of them. This is what I mean. I think Rosamund Pike gives such a good performance, and this movie presents her in a way we should be rooting for her. You want her to succeed, and when I watched this, I did not want her to succeed. I wanted no one to succeed. And I don't think that was everyone's take. So I don't want to paint this broad brush. Everyone who loved the movie was rooting for her. But that was at least my takeaway, that the movie presented her in a character that we were supposed to side with. And I sided with Peter Dinklage the whole time, even though he was into human trafficking. And that's messed up. And I hate that the movie made me do that. I just think if you're going to create a work with an anti-hero and someone you're supposed to root against, then you should really, make them a bad guy. You shouldn't just say, okay, human trafficking, that makes it bad. But now let's present them and be good. Even in shows like Breaking Bad, one of the most popular anti-heroes, there were still rootable characters within that. And you at least saw some humanity to them. So even though they were anti-heroes, there were some rootable elements to that, because they're doing this for their family, so I can see their motivation here. None of that exists in this movie. There's no motivation. It's just greed and selfishness. And so even though you want to root against them, they don't even give you any sort of humanity with these characters. I think they're very one-dimensional. It's kind of they're bad, they're evil, they're greedy. That's it. They are not human. And getting into them not being human, there's a lot of spoilers I don't want to talk about, but this movie makes no sense logically with defying the odds of surviving, and there's a lot of near deaths that happen that don't actually happen, and I don't even want to get into the judicial system within this movie because none of it makes sense when you think even beyond the single dimension. And I hate to be one of those people that nitpicks all these little details, but I think it matters when this movie presents itself as like, this is what this film is. Like, it's hard to tell, is she getting away with this because she is so in the system and everyone else is corrupt, or is she just that smart? And the movie never really answers that. We don't really get anything other than she's evil, she's bad, watch out for her, here's a great performance. So other than what I consider to be a pretty poor story and character development, I think this movie is fun to watch. I mean, like, the colors are fun, the music is cool, the vibe of it is really something I want to be into, and I kind of wish I liked this movie a lot more than I did. But it's just really hard because a lot of those elements, and great performances included, don't make a great movie. I think ultimately this movie needs to say something, and I don't think it says anything other than bad people don't succeed in life, which is a message that, I don't know, I don't really need to hear nowadays because I get it. So I'm going to wind up giving this movie a 2.5 stars if you follow me on Letterboxd, and you should. You see, it wasn't that bad. I didn't completely hate it. If you like this review, please comment below. Let me know, have you seen I Care a Lot? What'd you think? Tell me your thoughts. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you want some more content like this, and I will see you next time.